On my way back home, on my way back home, says I'm so tired, tired being alone. All the places I've gone, all the things I've been shown.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Thursday in the Triangle. That is the office of the firm on Greenwood and the Justice for All Legal Defense Fund, which my graphics guy is going to throw up a link to if you want to help support what we're doing. We really need your support. One of the great ways of doing that is joining the fight with us, justiceforall.org, j4all.org. Join us in our continued fight against all things bad in the state of Oklahoma. You know where we stand on things. You know what we're fighting for. And today we're going to come to you and we're going to talk about this thing that came out some time ago. And forgive me, I have been delayed in responding to this. And the reason for my delay has quite frankly been because I've been busy with other things like, preparing to sue them on Monday. Before I get into this empirical analysis, let me let you guys know and remind you guys, Monday, July the 10th, 9 a.m. at the OMMA. Rally Point, Rally Point, Rally Point. Monday morning, 9 a.m. at the OMMA for a hearing. I've got a hearing set in front of the OMA. I've issued my subpoenas. Shockingly, the judge has not granted them. I am beyond belief that Captain Kangaroo has not done that. But we're going to be there Monday the 10th for that. But on top of that, we're going to be there Monday the 10th, come rain, sleet, snow, whatever, with a lawsuit times 2 for you all and for our fantastic clients. So the 2 lawsuits are pretty simple. Lawsuit number 1 is against the OBNDD, and that is for the $2,500 license fee. Folks, I don't even have I need a plaintiff for that. Who wants to challenge that? Anybody want to put their name on that? Who wants to, y'all want to donate? Y'all want to help out? Somebody come out, put some donation to help fight in this. justiceforall.org. And we're going to get this thing filed and get that thing to fight no matter what. But we really appreciate your support. If you guys wanted to reach out and help with that support, if you want to be a plaintiff on that, and your nose is impeccably clean, because that's who we want standing for the Oklahoma businesses, is people who have an impeccable, clean reputation. So let me know. That case is getting filed Monday. Somebody asked me to be the plaintiff on that. I just can't remember who it is, and maybe there are names already on there and I forgot. But anyway, if you're interested in that, reach out. We've also got other lawsuits coming, but 15X, which is the OBNDD $2,500 license fee bill challenge, is coming on Monday. As an update, I do want you guys to know that 2179's challenge was filed by Orca last week. That has been granted a hearing, I believe August the 1st. I'll double check that and get that information out there. But congratulations to Jed, Orca, Stephen Kale, all great people on getting 2179 filed and out there. We're close behind with 15X, and with the second lawsuit, which I really hope gets you guys rolling for that Justice for All Legal Defense Fund, and that is the lawsuit against Metric. This will be a lawsuit against the state of Oklahoma. It will name Metric as a party, but it will essentially argue that Metric's implementation of its contract and the way it's being implemented, and the way the OMES is enforcing it and Omma is enforcing it, is a tax. So essentially, you'll have 2179, and look, folks, it meets the NAFI definitions and requirements of what a tax is. I mean, they are absolutely correct, in my opinion, when they rely on NAFI, which was a cigarette tax case I've talked about on here many times before, and the fact that the Oklahoma Supreme Court found that to be a tax. I think that was back in 2018. That case law applies definitively to 2179. I mean, the tiers obliterates really any argument that they could have even potentially had, which they really didn't have any no matter what. But the tiers where you've tiered the licensing clearly shows that you're creating a graduated tax and charge that's not uniform across all members of the same class, which would be growers, processors, dispensaries. That ain't how we do things in Oklahoma. That's not how the Oklahoma Constitution works. And it is a tax, and NAFI supports that for 2179. It supports it for 15X, and it supports it. Not only does it support it for the metric contract as imposed and enforced, but essentially all the other arguments that we have related to the invalidity of how it's enforced in the bidding process are all issues that are relevant in the Oklahoma Supreme Court and will be brought in front of the Oklahoma Supreme Court. Now, will it be all the issues that we brought in Full Tilt or in Genesis Testing Laboratories or in MK Herb? No, it's going to be something different. But it's different in that it's limited to very specific areas that we essentially want to isolate and get a ruling on, and believe that the court right now, especially with 2179, now 15, and then 15X, and then this, they all are of similar character and nature. And so getting a ruling on that together seems to make the most sense, especially considering that they've already granted a hearing on the challenge to 2179. The same makes sense for 15X, which is not in effect until, what's in effect now, but OB&D renewals go, all renewals, have to be done by October 31st. So that's what, is all going on Monday. We're hitting all of that litigation. We really need your support. Throw that link back up there for Justice for All. I'd really like to see, you all out there supporting. And by the way, the people have been, flying in to sign up for the packages that we had through Tricome, which are all the OMMA renewals, OB&D renewals. He's got the sound effects going. It's got the supplemental package for OB&DD. On the premium package, I was requested, actually, there's an added thing that's been added to the premium package today that was not there yesterday, because several people asked questions when they signed up for that package. They said, does this include something? And it didn't include that with the package. But I decided that, it did some math, looked at the numbers, calculated the time. What we will do is we've added to the premium package that you can find on the tricomerenewal.com. Throw that up there for them, tricomerenewal.com. On there, you can find this renewal today through the 10th, which is the rally at the OMMA, through the 10th. Which is the filing of the metric lawsuit, which is the filing of 15X, you can get a 15% discount off of your first year subscription. Now, we offered a crazy, stupid discount, and a lot of people took advantage of that. Grant said I should be done, but I decided to do a secondary one, at least through the rally at the OMMA on the 10th. So that way we can get all the word out there as best we can, and people can take advantage of this. And let me explain to you what I'm doing with the money, folks. I'm hiring people. I'm putting together an entire compliance team, a call center team. We're gonna run this thing where when you guys need things, you're gonna have answers. We're gonna add in. We just talked about it earlier. Where we're going to have access to our metric specialists that we're working on. By the way, if you are a metric specialist and you really know the metric system and know how to train people, answer questions, solve problems, those kind of things, we're hiring. Email grant@viridianlegal.com. We are needing to fill those positions because we're getting asked for those positions. But I'm getting ahead of myself, though, Grant. What I'm going to talk about, though, is what we added to the premium package on the Tricome renewals, which is 2 hours. Did you limit it to 2 hours? Okay. Well, he's going to go limit this to 2 hours because apparently I got the look that he didn't do this. But we are going to include with the top tier price package. We are going to include 2 hours. With an attorney that Tricome will pay to be there with you for the OB&DD inquest. the OB&DD interrogation, the OB&DD hostage situation, the OB&DD wanted to lock you in a room, which we're not going to let happen, and interrogate you situation. And again, we're going to very much ensure that they act in the manner in which they should and ask appropriate questions and don't ask you inappropriate questions. That's going to be added to the top package on their discount code through Monday. Through Monday, the 10th. So it ends at midnight on the 10th. The code is ScrewMetric, and you get 15% off for the first year. ScrewMetric is the code for that. The lifetime discount that we offered and a lot of people took advantage of is gone. Congratulations to you folks. I don't think we'll ever do that lifetime thing again, but I did want to extend this. There is a limited number of those. Grant did mandate that we limit the number of those because that does eat into the ability to pay for all this stuff. So there is a limited supply. I'm not going to tell you what that number is, but there is a limited supply of these 15% discount codes. Now, again, if you guys eat them up quick, we'll see. The rally is important, and I want to make sure everybody at the rally is covered. But go use the codes, sign up. It applies to any one of the packages. But the top package now includes, because I, again, want to make sure there's absolute value, it includes somebody, an attorney with you that Tricom will compensate. And essentially, you guys, what you're doing is you're prepaying that stuff, and Tricom's going to cover that bill for you. When it comes time, it's going to cover 2 hours of that. Now, look, if it goes beyond that because they've got lots of questions, you're already going to have a discounted legal service. But anyway, enough about me promoting these daggone packages. But the discounts are only going to last for a short period of time, so go get those. And let's start talking about the empirical analysis crap that I really came in here to talk about. Because there's a lot of it. And as I look through this thing, and the reason why I'm talking about the packages is because this is the attack plan, folks. This is the attack plan. He's got it up on the screen. The empirical analysis of Oklahoma's medical marijuana market. And notice down at the bottom, again, notice it's prepared for the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority. All right, and look, what does that mean? Sometimes it just means who ordered it. But in this particular instance, I think it has some flavor in that the message that's being delivered here is validating the message that they wanted to receive. And essentially, this entire report is got a major problem with what we call confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is a major problem in analytical research, and essentially what it means is if you want to find that if your general belief is that the world is a pretty crappy place, you can analyze and create a study to arrive at the result that you want to portray. And essentially, it's because we as humans want to uphold our common beliefs. So if we share a particular belief, we want the analysis and the examinations that we do to support that. We don't like our foundation shook. That's why people don't like me, because I just say what I'm thinking and break apart their BS. And so that's what we have here. We have nothing but confirmation bias. And as you go through this thing, go to the next page, if you would. Drop down to that second page on this thing. And, it's important when you look at any kind of analysis. First of all, when you look at an empirical analysis, it's normally something that's found is that they'll provide their back-end data sets that they use to get to their analysis for purposes of peer review, because you can't peer review something unless they can look at your data sets and the analysis points from which you did and calculate all your deviations, standard deviations from your norms, etc., which these folks understand, but they haven't provided any of that back-end data analysis or the data points, which prohibits anybody from validating their research. Or specifically calling that research into challenge. But there are other ways to do that. And so let's look at the reports. Bring that report up big, and I want you to see prepared by, and let's look at the prepared by. We've got Lydia, and look, I got nothing against these people. I don't know these people, but my research into these people lets me know a couple of simple things. One, not a single one of them are qualified to make the analysis that they did. Not a single solitary one of them has the credentials, the background, the knowledge, the peer-reviewed analysis to make themselves in any way, shape, form, or fashion experts in either quantitative data analysis or the cannabis industry at all. End of sentence, full stop, period. They are not that. They are selling a bill of goods for this self-proclaimed Cannabis Policy Institute. Scroll down, let everybody see that. Cannabis Policy Consulting LLC. They've self-proclaimed themselves certain things, but this is what we're talking about. The Cannabis Policy Consulting Institute. Better data, better policy, better outcomes. No, they're arriving at outcomes that they want to arrive at. And go back up to the top of that and let's read what they say about themselves. They say about themselves, quote, Cannabis Public Policy Consulting go up. Cannabis Public Policy Consulting LLC is the nation's leading cannabis policy research and consulting firm. Says who? You? That's exactly who says. They say that they are the nation's leading cannabis policy research and consulting firm. I don't know. I'm a pretty big cannabis policy research and consulting guy. I'd say I'm bigger, badder, and smarter than you are. So I don't say that. So I call BS to that self-proclamation of you being all hell God's greatest leading cannabis policy research and consulting firm. That's just, what do we call that? A bloated assertion without any backing. And then it says the methodology, survey questions, and specific analysis used in this report has been peer-reviewed and validated by over a dozen published researchers. Who? What questions? What methodology did you adopt and utilize? They don't talk about their methodology in this. They talk about their summary. They talk about how they did their general research design and survey methodology in generic terms, and we're going to talk about that. But they don't talk about their methodology and data analysis, how they arrived at these numbers, how they've normed these numbers, what numbers they're using to calculate and get averages of consumption. They didn't identify how they identified their subset that they were testing. Were these paid volunteers? Or I'm sorry, were these paid? Were these volunteers? Were they found on the streets? What did you do to confirm these things? Were they responding to a telephone unsolicited ad? How did you? I mean, there's so many questions that go into the validity of those things, and I would not expect any one of the people that prepared this to understand any of what I'm talking about because they don't care. They just care about spitting out a report that delivers what OMMA wants. It's confirmation bias. OMMA wants a report that says we have a massive problem in Oklahoma. And Cannabis Policy Consulting's job, what OMMA hired them for, and again, go back to what it says, and who it was prepared for, the OMMA. It wasn't prepared for the state of Oklahoma, the legislature. It wasn't prepared as an independent analysis. It was prepared for an agency who's trying to shut down businesses, folks. Do you think they're going to get hired again if they deliver OMMA a policy statement or conclusions that don't support the basis of the questions that OMMA were asked? And by the way, what questions were they asked? What did OMMA ask them? Normally in something like this, you're going to see what the RFP was. What was the requested proposal for the research? What was it that the OMMA was asking specifically to get to? And by the way, I did an Open Records Act request on this earlier so we can get to this analysis. And I've told them that on Monday the 10th, when I'm there for the hearing and there to walk across the street to the Oklahoma Supreme Court with you folks, I hope, showing up, I'm going to be asking for the documentation to support and go behind this stuff and see if they provide it. But before we even get into the report, the first thing as a lawyer I look at is, okay, who prepared this report? And we go, Lydia Mudd, MPH, Michael Sophis, PhD, Mackenzie Slade, MPH. Okay, but those are just letters. What the heck do those things mean? MPH, well, that means Masters of Public Health. And I know that because I actually had a friend who went to one of the best public health programs in the country, which is at St. Louis University in St. Louis, after she graduated from Yale University. So I have a little bit of knowledge about the Masters of Public Health program and what those people do and can't do based on some experience in real life of knowing people who do this kind of complex analysis, or at least that do that kind of complex analysis. But if you look at the background of these people, let's switch gears for a second. And let's switch to their own website. You go to their own website, which is the Cannabis Public Policy Consulting. Can you go to this one? Flip to this. We're going to flip to this page, Cannabis Policy Consulting page. Better data, better policy, better outcomes. Again, says who? I mean, you are a methodological based, scientifically supposed researcher that's supposed to derive results that are repeatable, verifiable, stand up to peer review and testing, and are supported with proper back end and bottom line analysis and an understanding of what it is you're inspecting and analyzing. And you make these broad generalized statements about yourselves that aren't supported by anything. Where is it? It says it was established by the public health professionals and former controlled substance regulators. Of course, former regulators who know nothing about anything other than regulating, because this is a dangerous thing. And that mentality is what they've brought to this study, folks. But let's just skip the self-proclaimed greatness, and let's flip to the page where we look at meet their leadership. And these people are listed on the documentation I'm prepared by. Mackenzie Slade is the first one. And again, I got nothing against these folks. Mackenzie looks like a nice person. But you look into the background of Miss Mackenzie Slade, and first of all, she's got a master's in public health. Okay. She's a public health professional and trained implementation scientist specializing in the execution and evaluation of cannabis programs. Man, she's got a lot of experience in, right? I mean, that screams, wow. As the executive director and she's the executive director of this whole institute, folks. She specializes in translating original research and data insights into practice to identify areas of program improvement, conceptualize and test policy and program interventions, and evaluate the success of these changes. First of all, that's a whole bunch of nonsense words that don't say anything. We all understand that, Miss Mackenzie Slade, executive director. It's just a bunch of nonsense that says you don't really know what you do there, other than to provide reports for California and now Oklahoma that say what people want them to say. And I guess your job is to take the data and figure out how to slant it in the way that they want. I mean, there's three kinds of lies: lies, damned lies, and statistics. And Miss Mackenzie Slade is the running leader, executive director of a agency that's using confirmation bias to get results that they want. But it goes deeper, folks, and there's actually substance to what we're talking about. And let's flip to her LinkedIn page. I sent you that LinkedIn page, didn't I? But let's bring up her LinkedIn page. Because at the end of the day, and I don't have a paid subscription to LinkedIn. I'm too cheap. Donate some money to the J for All Legal Defense, jforall.org. If somebody will go donate $25, what are the plans? $10 a month, $20 a month, $30 a month. It's like $50 a month. I'll go sign up for and get more information. If somebody will go donate $50 a month to cover our subscription to LinkedIn, I'll have more information for you. But I went to her LinkedIn page just because I was curious as to her background. Because again, she says she's a public health professional and trained implementation scientist specializing in the execution and evaluation of cannabis programs. That means to me that she's got a lot of freaking experience to say something that ballsy about their experience. No pun intended. The fact that she's a woman, it's a general statement. Let's go down to her experience. Cannabis Policy Consulting, 4 years, 4 months. Executive Director, 2023. February 2023. Keep going, scrolling down. You can see your experience somewhere on there. Yeah, experience. There we go. Cannabis Policy Institute. And she's not been there 4 years, 4 months. Not true at all. She's been the executive director since February of 2023. Okay, so she's got no experience running an agency except for coming in February of 2023. Yet again, according to the website, she's a daggum expert of epic proportion. But let's look at her jobs before that. Her job before that, behavioral health program manager and policy consultant. Advocates for human potential is what she did. Nothing to do with cannabis. All right, before that, she worked for Veterans Affairs in the Department of Defense Healthcare Systems as a management consultant. Nothing to do with cannabis policy, advice, analyzing data, putting in that data and preparing that data for implementation into policy decisions of an executive agency of a state department. And she's got from 15 to 16, she worked as a communication associate at a policy and strategic communication associate in DC. She worked for Women's Public Health and Policy and Advocate Fellow. She just graduated, University of California, Los Angeles. She just got her degree from there in 2021. But she's specializes in translating original research. Man, it takes not very long time to specialize in doing something in her field, man. I mean, I think the bar would like get me in trouble if I said I specialized in, well, anything. Actually, we're not allowed to say we specialize in anything, because there's no such thing as a declaration of a specialization. It's bullshit. Excuse the language. So that's why we can't say as lawyers that we specialize in things, but yet these people who make up things and say whatever they want to say can say they specialize in whatever they want to specialize in. And again, it ain't like she went to one of the best schools in the world for public health. I looked it up. She did study abroad at Chiang Mai University. Congratulations. She went to the University of South Carolina, Columbia campus, not even the main campus. I mean, again, to each their own. I mean, Oklahoma governor would love to see this. I personally have no issue with it, but she was a volunteer at Planned Parenthood Federation of America. So she's against marijuana use, but for murdering babies, I guess. I don't know. Is that what that says? I'm against pot use, but I'm okay if you want to kill anyway, that's your personal decision. I'm a libertarian. The government shouldn't be involved in those conversations. I just want to point out how is this different, ma'am? Can I just ask that question, Miss Mackenzie Slade? How is a woman's right to choose what she does with an unborn fetus different than a person's right to choose and access whether or not they consume a plant that has killed 0 people? Help me out with that one, because I'm perplexed. But anyway, I'm done eviscerating. Oh, let's look at her award. She's got a heck of honors and awards, man. I mean that facetiously. She was the Delta Omega Public Health Honor Society. Congratulations. She was on the Beyond Boundaries Award for Study Abroad. I mean, I think they give those to everybody, don't they? The Gilman International Award from the Gilman Institute, 2014. Nothing to do with cannabis. USAC Affiliate Award, University of South Carolina Study Abroad Office. And again, I'm going to go through the rest of this stuff, and I'm going to point out something. I see a complete, utter lack of any work in cannabis prior to being the executive director in the company specializing in the execution and evaluation of cannabis programs. She's not even worked in a cannabis program for a state in a regulatory manner. And again, she's the executive director. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the next guy is better. Because let's go back to that. The next guy, it says prepared by. Go back to that executive summary, because the next person that was prepared by was Michael Sophus. And forgive me, I didn't look at Lydia Mudd as much as I should have, but because I got sidetracked with the executive director having no credentials. But I did look up. I looked at the PhD, because it just was like, I'm going to look up the PhD. So again, on the report right here, which he's going to pull up again to show you, I'm not making this up. You got Michael Sophus, PhD is the prepared by. So we're going to assume that Mr. Sophus, we can go to that page first. I'm okay with that. Yeah, stick with that one. I like that one. I think that's this one. Oh yeah. I got my page. Yeah. No. That's a different page. Go to his. Just go to his LinkedIn page. We'll just go to his LinkedIn page as I talk about the credentials of Mr. Michael Sophus, the PhD, the only PhD behind this, again, empirical research and analysis and application policy decision making in the state of Oklahoma, done by people who have no background in this whatsoever. In fact, the OMMA has more experience than the people they hired to perform the study. I mean, I don't know, but Adria Berry has like 2 years of experience, and she's got more experience than the executive director of this person. I mean, my gosh, you should hire people that have more experience and knowledge than you do. And we dadgum know that the OMMA doesn't know the first thing about this industry. Let's see if Michael does, though. Michael might know the whole things about this. And scrolling down to his experience, because I really love his experience. I really want to get down, go all the way down to right above his education. Yeah, go right up. Let's start from, I didn't click the all of it, but let's go the senior sales consultant. Oh yeah, I love this one. Man, look, he has experience, Michael Sophus does, selling some knives. And congratulations, Michael, on selling $8,000 worth of kitchen cutlery in 3 months while being promoted twice and ranking the top 10 in the state of Pennsylvania, of knife sales. You can see that right there on the screen. Congratulations, Michael. That really qualifies you for analyzing cannabis businesses and utilizing data analysis to derive and show how that can be translated into actual research conclusions, which is completely and total BS. By the way, before I even get into the report, let's not forget to mention the fact that their analysis doesn't include the processing of cannabis flower into concentrates and the use of that. That's a seriously flawed lack of looking at a full market when you don't look at what the majority of cannabis goes into, which is a concentrated processed form. It really makes that 130 whatever number look utterly stupid, but you wanted that number. See, OMA wanted to say 64 times, the supply. That's what they wanted to say, or 32 times the supply. That's the results that they wanted, and these folks just helped provide them this stuff. But let's look at this guy's experience. Maybe he's got more experience. He was a special needs counselor. Worked with kids with disabilities at a camp, roughly 15 children. Okay, no experience in that. Move up. Quality assurance consultant, internship, 8 months. Evaluations of Children's Network, evaluating employees, documented database program, management. Nope, nothing to do with cannabis. Bonus initiative intern, nothing to do with cannabis. Family and youth intervention specialist, worked with Douglas County court system, providing behavioral intervention to parents who have lost parental rights. I mean, come on. That screams exactly what we know it should scream. It screams a guy who does not support cannabis. He's got that government mentality of it's bad for everybody, bad for everything. Look at that experience, and he was testifying about that kind of stuff. Family and youth intervention supervisor, community living opportunities behavior analyst, graduate research assistant at the University of Kansas from August of 13 to March of 17, letting us know that he was in college until 17. Oh, but wait, there's more. Then he's a graduate fellow after that, Army Research Institute, doing graduate fellowship stuff in 18. Then he didn't do his postdoctoral fellow, doesn't get finished with that until January of 2021. And yet this guy has given us the analysis of what to do in Oklahoma on a program he knows nothing about. And that at best he's been getting involved in the program for about a year. Congratulations to knowing nothing about this, having no training in cannabis consumption, and the methodology and data sets that they used are just utterly and completely flawed. Let's move back to the actual analysis and let's go through some of this stuff. I want to show you what I'm talking about. Let's go back to the actual report, the empirical assessment. Alex. Yeah, we're back to that report. We go to the, first of all, let's go to this first little page that shows the Oklahoma map. Give me the Oklahoma map. Scroll down a couple pages and let's bring up the Oklahoma map. And let's look at their survey methodology. 1.1 survey methodology. Go back to the top part where we can see the paragraph. All right, folks, this is where we talk about the methodology. And this is all we have, folks. This is the entire methodology that we have. We don't have the questions that I've been able to find. We don't have any of the underlying basis for the questions. Who were the participants other than they were, varying patients potentially. But again, they don't get into any of that specific analysis. And notice what it says. A total of 1,322 past year cannabis consumers from 68 of Oklahoma's 77 counties participated in the study. Well, that could include recreational use it every once in a while people. It could be using it, people who were using it for a short-term issue that was no longer bugging them anymore. They don't provide any of that. If you're going to get a general cannabis analysis of a patient, you need to take the full use analysis of them over a year and do that across a large subset of people. But they didn't even bother to do that. How many people did they use? 1,322 people. Now, folks, there are 4 million people in the state of Oklahoma. 4 million people in the state of Oklahoma. There are 365,000 licensed patients. In fact, I pulled it up, and I know it zoom in maybe, but we're not. You would see that when I pulled the number, there was 355,835 licensed patients in the state of Oklahoma. That means that this survey conducted a survey of 0.371% of licensed patients, if they just use licensed patients. Again, if they didn't do that and you go to the 4 million number, you'd move the decimal point over 2 more spots and it'd be 0.003% of the entire state population. Actually, be less than that because there's 4 million. So it's not more than, it's more than 10 times the number of licensed patients. So we have flawed statistical analysis based on a very small subset of an unidentified, unquantified, and unrepeatable group of diagnostic participants. We can't repeat the study because we don't have the information necessary to validate their results. And again, they talk about a correlation in the use of flower and things, and they talk about the production. And they go, okay, we did it by county subset. Again, the county subset of 1,000 some odd people. I mean, there's nobody in this at all, completely. And if we know anything about surveys in the state of Oklahoma, there's 2 things we know about surveys. One, people in the cannabis consuming business know to shut your mouth when the government starts asking you questions, right? So most people that use regularly are going to not participate in your study. Secondarily, we know that, people lie when it comes to these things. Look at our last gubernatorial election. That showed a neck and neck race on all the polls inside the margin of error, neck and neck race between Stitt and Hoffmeister, and he decimated her. I lost 2 dinners at Mahogany betting on Hoffmeister because of those polls. So, again, lies, damn lies, and statistics. And these folks are completely and totally, screwed. And go to the page where it talks about this annual household income survey sample, and then the Oklahoma population. The survey sample, go down one more page. The survey sample, look at the survey sample median household income. The survey sample median household income is $35,000. That's the household income of the people they surveyed, folks. Well, if you're going to, first of all, one, economically, people who are of lower economic class respond to surveys more than people who are of higher economic class. That's just statistical analysis that's available out there related to poll responses, and that it is always skewed generally in that way. But in this one, we have a clear skewing of things. Are you having a hard time finding it? It's page 5 under the counties. Yes, go down past that. Go down past that. Yep, there we go. Go down. Go to the second page of that, right there. We're looking at annual household income. You see that, folks? You can see it on the screen now. Annual household income. Well, if you're going to do statistical analysis and you want it to show a low consumption, a low demand side, right? Again, we're talking about, this is really a supply-demand study. It's a flawed supply-demand study done by people who have no qualifications for completing such, and we'll talk more about that. We already talked about that enough. They have no background in doing supply-side demand side economic analysis in a controlled market. They have no background in that. There's no way that they would meet a Daubert challenge in court to have any of this stuff admitted in court. I would eviscerate them. They would certainly not be able to get past my voir dire of them on a Daubert challenge, which is a challenge on expert evidence in a civil procedure, in a civil case. It's based on a case named Daubert, which laid down the scientific standards and foundation for which you have to have, and peer review, reliability, general acceptance. All of those things are things that are part of a Daubert challenge, and this would not meet those things. But again, let's look at this thing. If you want low demand, so you can show an oversupply. Again, we're going with confirmation bias that the OMMA wants the results that it got. We know that it does. Well, what would you do if you're looking at having the most depressed demand that you could have? You do exactly what they did. Survey sample size, annual household income median. This is total household income, $35,000 a year. By the way, check out the ball players in the background out there warming up and all that stuff for the games tonight. I love my office. Welcome to the firm on Greenwood. Welcome to the Triangle. Welcome to, this is just awesome. Triangle behind the diamonds. That's right. Go back to that survey. Show them this again. Bring this up full screen. I want to see that. I want to show them full screen what I'm talking about here. Folks, this is important. Survey sample. Highlight that. $35,000. Can you highlight that, Alex, or no? Yes, there you go. You see that on the screen, folks? $35,000. 56,956 is the Oklahoma average median household income according to this study. So they used and I didn't calculate this analysis or calculate this number before I got on the air, so I'll just calculate it right now. I'll take 35,000 and I'll divide it by 56,956. So they compared things using people who make 61% of the median household income. I mean, my gosh, that's not. Yeah, you want a low demand side report from people. Use people who the survey sample median is $35,000. That is absolutely shameful on their part to use these kind of numbers to show that they have hit some kind of average numbers. Going into the population, they even dissuade, and we know statistically that men consume cannabis more than females, especially by flower, which is what they're asking about in this. They're not asking about concentrates or edibles. Or consumption of cannabis in any other form than flower. And they take that flower analysis and they apply it to the entire flower production. Again, despite the fact that most of that stuff goes into concentrate production. Their survey sample is only 33% of males compared to 49.5% of the Oklahoma population. They're showing you that they surveyed 15% less males. There's no reason for that big of a statistical difference and an anomaly. Their sample size is just simply too small, is what that tells you. And they oversampled females, 64.6%. They oversampled them by 14.6% over the average of the percentage of the Oklahoma population. This also, if you want to get a true analysis, should have been based on the Oklahoma population that are cannabis users. Because unless you do it that way, you don't get a true statistical result that shows you what people that are cannabis users, male and female, are utilizing on average in the state of Oklahoma. Again, lies, damn lies, and statistics. More of that by the state agency through this empirical analysis. Again, then they go to regulated versus illicit cannabis source, and they talk about, and they say on 2.2, go to the next page, 2.2, they say, specifically, we asked questions about licensed medical dispensaries, friends or family, a dealer, a delivery service, their own home grow operations, another source, and adult use dispensaries. Again, you're asking questions that a lot of people don't want to provide you the information to. Why? Because they're worried about you coming to their house. Why? Because the government's giving us every indication that that's what they want to do, folks. And I don't say that empty. That's not an empty statement, folks. I'm very, very concerned that they're going to show up at your houses And here's what I want you to understand, is OMA put it in their strategic response that's what their plan is. Let me find it real quick. We're going to skip ahead, but they put it in there. If you could flip over to the OMA strategic response, and flip down to the part that says revisiting program rule. Revisiting program rule. It's about halfway down. It's quite a ways down. It's in section, I don't know. Alex, it's got this thing. There it is. There it is. That's the page. Go to the top of that page. Okay. Top of that page. Scroll back up. Yes. Discouraging casual entry into the market. No, I'm sorry. Yes, that's what it is. That's what it is. And then go scroll down to revisiting program rule. All right, folks. This is the kicker here. We want to get to what OMMA's goal is. Let's talk about what OMMA's goal is. And what, again, confirmation bias, the results that you get. That's what they did with this report. They hired people who have no experience, knowledge, or expertise in this industry to provide a report that's self-proclaiming and self-professing to be the expert Bible and statement on the cannabis industry. Let's look at what they're doing, and let's read this together. Bring that up big. In the fall, and patience, you need to pay attention. And again, what we're going to be fighting, folks, I'm going to keep asking for you guys to donate to Justice for All. jforall.org. Jump over there to the website. Get over there, please. jforall.org. Help us with these fights, because here's what I'm seeing with this. Read what it says. Quote, revisiting program rule. This is a section that they talk about what they're going to do in the future, what the OMMA is going to do in the future. And I'm skipping ahead because there's something very important that ties into this analysis on where patients and people are getting things. Notice what they say. Quote, in the fall of 2023, that's this fall, folks, that's coming up. We're not far off. We're in July, August, September, bam, we're there. OMMA plans to take a crucial step in addressing program gaps. And again, they're going back to that research, the program gaps that they paid these people to analyze and find for them using faulty data and documents. What's the end goal? By updating rules, and again, I'm reading, by updating rules based on reoccurring analysis of available data, OMMA will take the opportunity to incorporate sensible regulations primarily aimed at tracking other illicit market leaks. So they're going to take aim at going after other illicit market links. Notice what they say and highlight this. Such as patient gifting. Folks, I've been telling you that the CPA, the Cannabis Association, all those folks are after patients, that they shut this program down, that they want to go after patients, that they want to attack your home grow. Folks, the only way to attack your home grow and go after patient gifting is to do two things. Let's think about it for a second. We don't have to go logically jumping very far to go, okay, their goal is to deal with illicit market links such as patient gifting. The OMMA has announced a war on patients right there. They paid for the study that says that there's these places that it's going out. And again, notice that they didn't look at concentrates and the production in the concentrates and get the true numbers. They used the numbers that they want to show an oversupply, and that's exactly what the results that they got by these people who know nothing of what they're doing. They want to go after patient gifting. How are they going to do that, folks? Well, let's ask that simple questions to ourselves and go, how are they going to do that? Well, I can think of two ways that they're going to do that. One, they're going to track every one of your purchases. And if you have purchases that are a substantial amount, we don't have patient limits, right? But if you are buying a lot, I would expect them to going into rules to try to adopt rules to limit your patient purchasing amounts. Because the only way for them to control patient gifting is to control how much cannabis you can acquire, right? So if they're going to stop you from gifting it or getting it for other people or doing whatever it is you're doing, that they believe that you're doing based on the study that, again, is so statistically flawed and flawed by the bias that they went into it with, and there's so many flaws of logic in it. Again, they presuppose the questions that they want to arrive to. We have an oversupply of cannabis in Oklahoma. Where's it coming from? And then they get to those results. That's presupposing the question that you're trying to derive an answer for. That's a basic fallacy of logic. Look it up, OMMA. Look it up, Michael Sophus, PhD. Oh yeah, you're wearing that one out on the sound effects. I'm just gonna say, we need to find different sound effects that have that same thing. I like it, but we're not basketball. We need a baseball one, like knocked it out of the park. That's what we need. Why do we have a basketball one? We got a baseball. I know. I know we got all these capabilities. If people help donate, and we can keep funding this stuff. Justice for All. That's J, the number 4, ALL. That's J 4 ALL.org. That's our website. Go over there, donate a few bucks, and we'll keep doing this kind of stuff and keep fighting. I'll be able to pay for these things and people and all that stuff. But they're going after patients, folks, because that's how they're going to attack us. So again, they're going to track patients. They're going to track what you buy. Are they going to show up and inspect at your house and those kind of things? What are these in the fall 2023? The OMMA ain't quite exactly up on providing us a whole lot of information. And we're going to talk about that as we move through this, because I'm just going to skip ahead because I'm losing my voice. And we got a podcast tonight at 9 o'clock. Do join us for the Triangle podcast with Ron and Grant at 9 o'clock right here in the Triangle. With potentially a special guest. We'll see if we can get him in here. Hopefully it rains, which will get him in here. I have a special guest right now. Oh, I do have a special guest right now. Y'all want to see my special guest for a second? I can take a break. Hey, up. Hey, everybody. Meet the special guest. Meet Duke. This is Duke. This is my special guest. This is my special boy. If you want to know where he is when he's not up here, he was sitting down here right beside me. So he's going to get back down there and lay back down because he's such a good boy. But that's my special guest today, Mr. Duke in the background saying hello. He said hello to Shannon's office this morning in a way that I had to clean up and I was not appreciative of. But I mean, it's Duke. He gets he gets special treatment. But anyway, I'm worried about them going after and your patient purchasing. But there's more than that, folks. There's more than that. There's more than that. There's more than that. There's more than that. What I think this means, and look, if you're going to, 2 ways that they're going to get to this. It's only 2 ways. And if they're talking to people like Chris Moe and the people at the Cannabis whatever that are trying to make sure that all the businesses get this money, then I'll bet they're going after your patient grow. I could see registration of patient grow and required reporting of patients of their patient obtained amounts from production. Folks, otherwise, how are they going to stop and do what they say they're going to do? That's what they're going to do. They're going to attack patient gifting by going after home grow and what patients can acquire. They got to go after the 2 places that patients can get it legally. And those are the 2 places. And so they've declared war on it. They've declared war on us, on patients. And look what they say. Scroll back into that. Let's go back down to stakeholder engagement. They think and they use this to say you all want this. Go down to what it says right below that. It says stakeholder engagement, and read what it says there. Get that big on the screen. I want you to see what this says. And this is the OMMA using statistics to tell a lie. Notice what they say. OMMA places immense value on stakeholder engagement, as demonstrated by a recently conducted patient survey that revealed that nearly 60% of licensed patients report having a high level of trust in OMMA. Well, first of all, somehow you think 60% of patients trusting you OMMA is good. Like, I don't know what world you live in that's a good number, but it should be like 100%. The patients should trust you to be doing the right thing. Bragging about 60% from what I am betting is your own self-propelled study. Because notice, you don't cite who does the study. You don't cite any of this stuff. It's of licensed patients that you're calling. We're the OMMA. Are you happy with our services? I mean, 60% satisfaction. We have 60% satisfaction rate. We're doing great. They're bragging about that. Yeah. I don't eat at 6.0 restaurants on DoorDash or on your slime in the ice machine, roaches under the counters. They're not cleaning well at those restaurants, folks. 60% approval rate. Congratulations, Omma. Way to brag about your 60% approval rate. But let's go to the next page because, again, more lies. And again, it's just if we didn't have enough lies, we'll just keep going. It says statewide listening tour. Do y'all see this stuff? Quote, OMMA will be embarking on a statewide listening tour this fall to provide a platform for stakeholders to share their perspectives, challenges, and recommendations directly with the OMMA, unquote. Well, sign me up. I am there. I am there. I am there. We're there, Omma. Where's our statewide listening tour? Was it the one that they did at the PCA? Is only the PCA is allowed. Only the PCA was allowed at your statewide listening tour because we know who you really want to listen to. So again, you say you're doing a statewide listening tour, but you're not. And then maybe I'm wrong. Prove me wrong, Omma. Come out from hiding. Come out from hiding. Give us some open records documents. Give us some other things. But then they say establishment of working groups. They're establishing formal working groups informed by the insights gained from the statewide listening tour will allow for specific meaningful contributions to specific policy areas. Folks, that does not say anything. Basically what it says is we might get some insight from some stuff and we might apply it to some stuff. And that's really all this says. And then it says some more stuff about we're going to kumbaya and hold hands on collaborative approaches under the establishment of working groups, which he didn't scroll down to for some reason when I'm talking about it. If you'll scroll down to the establishment of working groups section, there we go. Eventually, my guy will get on staying on top of what we're talking about. He's doing fantastic. I'm just giving him a hard time. All right, we're going to go to the next thing where it says clear and consistent information dissemination. Let's talk about this one because this one's freaking ridiculous. And notice what they say in the second sentence. Quote, by providing accessible and easy to understand information about the evolving landscape of the medical marijuana program, OMMA ensures that all stakeholders understand moving targets. OMMA, correct me if I'm wrong, but are people having to send in an Open Records Act request to get a copy of their inspection report still, or are you giving those back to people again? Because if not, I don't really see how you're ensuring that stakeholders understand moving targets when you won't give them a copy of the inspection report that you're demanding that they sign for during their inspection. So please, Omma, continue with that statement of how you are providing accessible and easy to understand information. What about locking the building from Open Records Act requests? What about providing none of the administrative law action pleadings to the public in a publicly accessible format as required by the Open Records Act? What about doing any of that stuff for the OMMA? Look, folks, the timely waste disposal, all those things, they're full of crap. We know that. The report and methodology is completely flawed in every which way you can analyze it. Everything, all the demand numbers are based off of some things. Go back to that report, if you would, please. Go back to the report that we were talking about at the very beginning. Let's talk about one more section. Go to page 10 of that, the empirical assessment of Oklahoma's program. Let's go to page 10 of that. I want you guys to, let's talk about supply needed to meet demand. And go back to what I was talking about. It's on page 10, section 3.3. Keep going. Going down the other way. Going down. The table 3, section 3. Okay, there we go. Section 3.3 is where we're going. Supply needed to meet demand. And again, go back to the stuff that we talked about related to the demand numbers that they're utilizing, the people that they utilize for their demand study. They use people that have 61% of the median household income in the state of Oklahoma. They didn't use the median. They used people who have 61%, 35,000 to whatever that 50, whatever thousand number was we talked about a little while ago. But I want you to look in the left-hand side where it says, where they did something which completely obliterates this, and it starts with to do this. About halfway down the page, just to the left of total cannabis plants. Do you see that? And then on the graph, and then it says to do this. It says to do this, we multiply of cannabis plants by 2, operating under a quote generous assumption that an amount equal to the weight of 1 out of every 2 plants will need to be discarded during harvesting, drying, or curing, or will be required for production of other products, equaling about 328,000 cannabis plants. They announced in their own analysis that they made a generous assumption, folks. I mean, those words mean this is based on assumptions that we have made. And what did they assume? They assumed that they're going to lose 1 out of 2 cannabis plants to loss in production into other things. 1 out of 2, based on no statistical analysis or basis from existing markets or the Oklahoma market that's been here for 5 years now. They don't do any of that. Instead, they make a general assumption that equal to the weight of 1 out of every 2 plants will need to be discarded during harvesting, drying, or curing, or will be required for production of other products. I mean, yeah, so generous of you to only half will be lost or processed is the number that they came up with. They're freaking batshit on that one. Excuse the language. That's 2 cuss words today, but I'm still doing better. And then notice what it says at the bottom. We conducted the same calculation for total demand. So they based total demand on the same assumptions that they made the other things. In their own writing, they state that it's all based on their own assumptions. The assumptions to get to the conclusion that they want to reach, which is the conclusion that Omma wants to shut things down. Again, 5.2, again, they say regulated cannabis supply outpaces regulated medical cannabis demand by at least 32 times and could supply the total state demand 4.5 times over. To our knowledge, this is the largest oversupply of cannabis any state has demonstrated. To our knowledge, you have no knowledge. Look at your resumes. You have no basis of knowledge in any of this stuff. Everything that you have presupposed, everything that you have preassumed is all based on a complete lack of experience in the industry or the knowledge based on the patient use of the product. And I can say that because 5 years ago, I didn't know the first dadgum thing like I know now. It's okay to admit that you don't know things, but not when you go with that stuff to give people the ammunition that they need to do harm. So anyway, that's what I got to say about this stuff. I'm going to be sending out subpoenas on all this stuff. I'm going to be filing lawsuits on all this stuff. As a final reminder to those of you who are still watching me, and thanks for sticking in, share this, would you please? I really need your help and support. Don't forget about the renewals programs that we've set up through Trichome Consulting. Trichome Consulting has been around for years now, but I've been using it mostly for the other consulting out of other states. But we've set up the programs now that you've been asking for. People have been flying to that. I've extended a discount for a limited time and for a limited number through the 10th, but there are a limited number of those 15% discounts. And again, as I pointed out, we added the 2 hours. Hopefully he fixed that of, and I'm getting the thumbs up, of OBNDD attorney presence with you if you are being interrogated by the OBNDD. That is essentially, not essentially, that's a huge savings over what was the day before. So I'm stopping being stupid anymore and doing that kind of stuff. But that's what it's going to have in it. And the discounts are going to be through the 10th. So I think that's all I got. Join us at 9 o'clock. We'll come back live to you. I'm going to take a break, go do some work, and get to some client needs. And oh, if you have signed up for the renewal packages, I'm being told to don't forget to sign up for the private Facebook mastermind group. Ask for entry and answer the questions. There's going to be a link to that posted on this page where people can go, and we'll be verifying that the people who go into the page are signed up for the program. If you drop out of the program, you're going to get dropped from that page because it's going to have all the inside information. A lot of this stuff is going to go over there because I'm going to support the people who are supporting us. But it's going to be a lot of Q&As, live stuff like that, live guests, We're going to continue to provide the information as much as we can. That's why the J for All stuff is important, because that's the stuff that is 501c3 charity, and it's going to be on all these things, and always public, and always a fight for that stuff. But anyway, with that said, y'all stay safe out there. I'll see you guys at 9 o'clock. And that was a lot longer than I intended to go, but take us out of here with some good music.
On my way back home, on my way back home, says I'm so tired, tired being alone. All the places I've gone,